think it was completely natural to worry about BC basketball going into the season opener and going, oh man, is this going to be another letdown game? I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't any of that on Monday night.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LockedOnCollege20 for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code LockedOnCollege. All right, folks. I know many of us were going into this season we're going to have high expectations of BC basketball. And all it takes is one bad game to start the season off in your out-of-conference schedule to really throw a monkey wrench in this. So BC gets Fairfield to open the season. Fairfield's been a scrappy team, but they just lost their head coach. I don't know exactly what happened that had caused him to be fired. They had about 3 guys hurt, so they weren't playing very much. And still, you're feeling like, oh man, BC always plays down. That's kind of the way that they've done, and it makes it close. Is this going to happen again? Well, it didn't happen. BC dominated Fairfield. They won by 19, 89-70, but that score isn't accurate to even how far the game got out of hand, because by the end, they were up by 24, 26 points, and you got to see Fred Payne play. You got to see, Elijah Strong get some minutes, but it wasn't the story of this game isn't just, BC winning. It's Quinten Post. Quinten Post was absolutely dominant in this game. He scored 31 points, had 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. My favorite sequence with Post came in the second half where he had that spot in the corner and he drained a 3. And then they panned to whatever was going on the Fairfield side, and they got the ball back. And there's Post again in the same spot, just waving frantically. They finally get him. I think it was Jaden Zachary, finally gets him the ball. And he drains it again. He's just a special player. And we'll get into what kind of player he is in a little bit. But his 31 points, a career high in this game. Fairfield was playing without their center, I believe. So they had a true freshman up against him, and this kid had no chance. No chance. Like it was unfair what Quinten Post was doing to him. And he just took over this game. You get to see in the end what the end score is going to be. You see, they won by 19 points. They were up by 26. So much of that is because of Post. When you don't have him out there, it's a very different team. And we'll get into some of the concerns and things, other pieces of this game in just a moment. But BC starts off. They hit a bucket. Fairfield hits a 3-pointer. That's the last time Fairfield sniffed the lead. From there, Post took over. They scored a whole bunch of points. You saw other players as well step up. And some names that I think that deserve some recognition. Obviously, Jaden Zachary had 10 points on 4 assists. He's the ball handler out there. And, without Mekhi Ashton Langford this season, you needed someone to step up and be that guy. And Zachary looked like that guy. You also had Mason Madsen. Now, Mason Madsen he drew a lot of ire from a lot of BC fans for his play last year. You brought this kid in to shoot 3-pointers. And he shot 30% from 3 last year. He wasn't very good. But to the kid's credit, Madsen finds out this offseason he has an autoimmune disease, and it affects his joints. It affects a bunch of different things. He gets it fixed. He's getting shots and all, treatment for that. He goes out there and he shoots 3 for 5 from 3-point range. That's exactly what you want from Mason Madsen. I thought he had a really good game. Not perfect, but definitely a good game as well. And when you're also, when you're looking at as well, Donald Hand didn't play at all last year. He played 10 minutes and then tore his knee. That was it. He comes back. I was not sure, after a knee injury, how quickly he'd come back. He comes back and plays 18 minutes, hits 3 3-pointers. And that's all you need to ask for a guy like that. That's exciting that you have a guy that can hit those deep shots. So BC pushes, Fairfield around. They go cold. It's BC basketball. It's not a BC basketball game without a cold streak. They go 3 minutes and Fairfield knocks the lead down to 12 going into halftime. BC still really was kind of in control at that point, even though Fairfield, it never felt like the lead was ever going to get away. But it was a little disconcerting watching one of those, like, it wasn't just that BC shots weren't going down. It was like everything was discombobulated. They just weren't passing. The offense was not clicking. The second half starts, and it's more of the same as what we saw at the end of the first half, where BC is just continuing to struggle. Credit to Fairfield. They tried to hang around. That kid, Bryson Goodine, had 22 points. He had a nice little game for that team. So they brought it down all the way down to 9 points. But then it was Jaden Zachary and it was Quinten Post. Every single time that BC needed a shot, Quinten Post hit it. You just felt like maybe Fairfield would start to make some sort of run. We've seen it enough, right? You go back and think about the Detroit Mercy game last year, or Cornell, or UNH or Maine, the games they lost. BC would fall apart, and you had that sinking feeling in the back of your chest, like this is going to happen again. They're going to fall apart. And they're going to blow this. But Quinten Post is so good, it's not going to happen. So the Eagles improved to 1-0. Their next game is on the road against Citadel. That's on Friday night. They're going down to South Carolina. This is a team that Earl Grant has a history with. So they made that home and home, whatever. And I think that's kind of the deal there. Now, in a moment, I want to talk more about Post. I want to talk what he could bring to this team and how special his kind of play is, and why his play alone could bring BC to levels that they've never been under Earl Grant, or under the last couple coaches as well. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Now, right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So you could go in right now. You could find college basketball. It's all over the place on FanDuel. They've got some great bets right now. Just even looking on Monday night, it's 11 o'clock. You can find matchups for Monday Night Football. You can look at tomorrow's NBA game between the Celtics and 76ers, -1 for the Celtics. I think I might like that one. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So you're a big sports fan. You're looking for the place to go. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black, and we're talking about an exciting win for BC. This is the way that you start a season off when you want to make the tournament. You need to put away teams like Fairfield, and that's exactly what Boston College did. And the goal for this year should not be the NIT. For my opinion, that's the floor. You want to get to the tournament. When you have a player that can take over games. How many NCAA tournament games have you watched where you see a guy just go bonkers and score a ton of points and just take over a game? When you watch what Quinten Post has done over the last year or so, don't you see that he could be the same type of player? He's a 7-foot shooter. He can shoot, who does everything on the court. You can get him down low where he's dunking it. He had another one of his, big two-handed dunks. He's hitting 3-pointers from all over the place. He's facilitating. He's playing defense. He's got 4 blocks. He is a special player. And, I think when you're talking about like a run in the NCAA tournament, yeah, you're going to want to have some depth on your team. And there's a lot of time between now and March. But when you have a superstar, and that's exactly what Quinten Post is, headlining your team, you're going to win some big games this year. And I was watching, I looked around, and the ACC had some really bizarre scores. Well, not bizarre if you ever follow the the teams that are playing. You had who was it? So, Louisville. Louisville's not very good. Louisville beat Maryland, Baltimore by 1 point, and they were losing for most of that game. Notre Dame barely beat Niagara. That was also a fun game to watch. And so you see that there's going to be some teams that aren't going to be all that great. I mean, NC State beat Citadel by 13. They were in control for most of that. But when you have a player like Post, you have to keep him healthy. The one piece I wished, I kind of wish they took him out a little earlier in this game. You were in control. When you were up by like 24 points, just take him out. Get Armani Mighty in there. Get him to play a little bit more. I'd love to see that happen. The last thing the thing that's going to keep fans biting their nails at night is the health of Quinten Post. At the end of last year, he had an injury. He obviously had the foot injury to begin last year. He needs to stay healthy because this team has a lot of potential, but it all revolves around him. He's going to make those guys better. If you didn't have him out there tonight, if you were starting Mighty, it would have been one of those nail biting, games against a mid-major, but you have that top talent now. That's great. That's what you want. So that was my thoughts on him. Now, other thoughts about this game. I already mentioned I thought Mason Madsen played really well. Now let's talk about some players I thought did not have great games. One of them is on the screen right now, and that is Chaz Kelly. And I'm actually changing it over to Quinten Post because I had a picture of him up. Chaz Kelly is going to be a guard that you're going to need to play a lot this year. And he just looked completely discombobulated in this game. He had, I'm pulling up his stats right now, 2 points. He went 1 for 3. With three assists and 6 turnovers. Not good. 6 turnovers. As a guard, you gotta be better with the ball. And I think that was a disappointing output. The other big disappointment was someone I had just been pumping up for the last couple of weeks, which is MJ Harris. The transfer from Charleston Southern started like I expected him to. Played 26 minutes, had 9 points, but shot 2 of 8 from field goal range. With 2 turnovers. He just didn't look in sync at all. All his 3-pointers were bouncing off the rims. He just didn't have a good game. And it's one game. I'm not going to overreact to how a player performs in just a one game output there. I love the defensive tenacity of this team. I thought they played really strong. I mean, when they got that, anything that they tried to get down low, Post just completely screwed them up. Like they just couldn't get anything past him. And to a lesser extent, I thought McLaughlin had some really good interior defense as well. Now, concerns, there was moments again where they were ball watching, especially around the time where BC's offense just completely started to fall apart. At the end of the first half, early second half, there were, some wide open shots. Rogan on Fairfield had a few big threes, and you saw Goodine do a few. But that's all kind of nitpicking. I thought BC played a complete game. The defense was pretty good. They didn't let up a lot of stupid shots for most of the game. I thought their offense really looked good. It was great seeing Donald Hand back out there. Prince Aligbe looks a little different too, but I was going to say Armani Mighty looks like a different player out there. Last year, he was a 7-foot dude that was scrawny and just big, like tall, big. Now he put on 20 pounds of muscle and he looks like a completely different player. And, the stat sheet doesn't really say much. He had four 4 points and 3 rebounds. And what do you play? 10 minutes. But he's going to have to play more. You're not going to want to have him. This is the thing. Like, wouldn't you have rather seen like 15 minutes of Mighty than? I mean, I obviously wanted to watch Quinten Post. I just don't want him to get hurt. So when they took that over, I thought that would have been great. BC had 34 points in the paint, 34 and 14 second chance points. Just a complete dominating game for BC, and that's a great. Like, again, it's been a lot of fun around BC sports this last week or so. Other than the firing of the women's soccer coach, we had hockey win 2 games against Lowell. We had women's basketball beat Holy Cross. You had football beat Syracuse. The vibes are immaculate, as the kids say. Volleyball, I saw beat NC State, I think a couple of days ago. Things are good. Things are fun to watch as a BC fan. So, want to know that the March to March starts now, and the man on your screen, Quinten Post, is going to be the key factor on whether that's going to happen or not. Hopefully, we'll be talking about him when Selection Sunday comes up. Now, in a moment, I'm going to switch things up and talk about football because, hey, football rules the roost. Now, I am always looking for good tickets. I have not been to a Patriots game yet in my entire life, which is nuts. I have lived my entire life in the state of Massachusetts, and I have yet to go to a Pats game. But I know when I want to go, I'm going to be using Game Time because Game Time has last-minute ticket deals, all-in prices, which means there's no hidden fees, views from the seats, and the best price guaranteed. And I love it because they know I like the Pats, that they will send me like, hey, the prices have dropped 15%. And I'm like, oh, this is a good time to go buy tickets. So when I make my purchase, when I finally get to a Patriots game, I take my son with me, I will be using Game Time. It's so easy to use. And with their last minute tickets, flash deals, and zone deals, it can't be beat. So Game Time, what you need to do, go download the Game Time app right now, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Again, that's Locked On College. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Let's talk a little football to wrap up our episode. And I just want to preview a few things. So if you have not already checked it out, I have 50% off an Eagle Insider subscription. If you want to become an Eagle Insider, get all the VIP scoops, Mitch's film reports, all the insider information that we have. 50% off for a year. That's a cup of coffee, price of a cup of coffee per month. I think it's like $4 a month. You ain't going to beat that. Tons of BC content with a great BC community. Head over to Eagle Insider today and sign up right now because I think you will love the community that's there and the work that you would get as part of your VIP membership. I'm going to throw that link up in the comment section in just a moment. So if you haven't already signed up, this is a perfect time to do it. Now, football. We're talking good news with BC sports. Football is they're in for the bowl. Jeff Hafley was at the basketball game tonight. So was Thomas Castellanos. And the vibe around the program is feeling pretty good. You're playing 3 more teams, as I said on yesterday's episode, that you could easily beat if you play good football. They haven't played particularly perfect football, but they've won. Winning is better than losing. So I was thinking, now that BC is 6-3, and other than maybe the Orange Bowl, which I don't think they're going to get to, any bowl that is affiliated with the ACC, could be in the potential. They could be. Sorry, it's late at night and my brain is just falling apart. could be in the line of where Boston College could land. So here are the bowls that BC could potentially end up with. And I'm going to present it so you can see it, because I feel like me talking about it, you not being able to see it will not work as well. So you have the Gasparilla Bowl. That gets a big fart. No. Birmingham Bowl. We dealt that one already. Lightning. No. Military Bowl. That would be the ECU rematch. Remember that was the bowl that was canceled because of COVID. Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is a higher one. Holiday Bowl, which is also out there. The Fenway Bowl, which I think everyone, Fenway Bowl and Pinstripe Bowl are all both bowls that I think a lot of folks just assume BC is going to get over anything. The Pop-Tarts Bowl and Gator Bowl are all higher level bowls. The Sun Bowl and the ReliaQuest Bowl. So when I look at these bowls, which ones do I want? If you talk to Mitch Wolf of Eagle Insider, who's been on our podcast, he wants the Fenway Bowl or Pinstripe Bowl, or I think he even said the Military Bowl because he could travel to those. I don't want any of those bowls. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate baseball stadium games. So the Fenway Bowl and Pinstripe Bowl sound awful. I don't want to play an AAC bowl team in a bowl game. So Fenway again gets another knock. And the Pinstripe Bowl seems destined to get a Big Ten team with an atrocious offense. And it'll be probably terrible weather and hard for everything. We saw AJ Dillon skating on that. And I don't want to play a team. I saw mock projections, of Rutgers or Northwestern against BC at the Pinstripe Bowl. Both of those teams sound awful. I don't want to see Northwestern at all. Their offense is just terrible. And I know BC isn't playing much better right now in terms of scoring, but it just would not be a fun and enjoyable game. So that makes me ask, what are some realistic other bowls that I think would be fun? Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl is the one I have circled. That's on December 29th. That's against a Pac-12 team. And I've seen them mocked against either like Arizona or Oregon State. I'd love to see that, though. I think DJ Uiagalelei would probably shred BC's defense if BC's defense had an off game. But I don't know. I think playing in Arizona would be fun. It's a bowl that we've always hoped BC would get, but they got to win games to get there. Another reach that I've seen BC potentially get to, I believe I've seen them linked to the Mayo Bowl. Now, what you need now, I know the path is what everyone's talking about right now, and I don't hate on that at all. I think it's fun, and hey, if they could do that, that would be amazing, right? If that does not work out, then you need to start rooting for certain teams to lose. The teams that you're going to want to see lose are teams like Clemson, Duke, Georgia Tech, and Miami. I think those are the big ones, and NC State as well. Those teams have a better shot of getting better bowls. Duke less so. But like Clemson, they're going to jump BC if they have the same record. Same thing with like Miami. So BC needs to have a great last couple games if they want to get one of those tier 1 bowl games. If you don't want to end up in Birmingham or wherever the hell the Gasparilla Bowl is, you want to play top level teams, you got to start winning and hope these other teams lose. So the path may end this week if Louisville beats Virginia. I think every BC fan is going to be a Who's fan this weekend, and I don't blame them. But if it does, then we need to start looking at what teams we need to start rooting to lose so that BC can get a better bowl spot, because I think that's going to be the next big thing for the Eagles. Now, I'm going to wrap things up. It's late at night. I'm exhausted. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here, talking about BC basketball, who are 1-0. What a great game for BC. And, hopefully these wins will continue to build up the fan base. It wasn't a great outing in terms of like folks at the game, but winning gets attendance, and I think BC basketball will get there. You beat Citadel. That'll do it. Now, later this week, we'll have Mitch on to give Mitch Wolf of Eagle Insider to give his predictions. We're also going to talk to a Hokies podcast. There's no lock. I don't think there's a Locked On Hokies. So I'm looking outside to grab somebody. I think we're going to have them on Thursday. And then we'll have another episode tomorrow. jam-packed week, right, folks? Thank you all so much. Join Eagle Insider today. And also, if you want to try it out, I'm still trying to get people to join our subtext. That is a text-based service where you can communicate directly with me. As a couple of you guys have already signed up and have been talking to me. It's just like texting with AJ. You want to ask me questions, your thoughts, you want to get, questions on the show. I can't read everything in the comment section live, but I love to answer it after the shows and talk to you more. And I'm going to try to get you videos. Check it out. It's 14 days free right now. I think it's like $5 a month after that if you want to try it out. But check it out. Sign up. The link is in in the show notes. I hope you do check that out. This is AJ Black. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. And we'll be back again tomorrow for another show. But thank you all, everydayers out there, for listening to Locked On BC, your team every day.